So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And we were just discussing with Pastor Bernard, and he's giving us some heavy stuff on matters young people and festivities. And he's talked about matters authenticity, compromising your virtues. I don't want to use the word value.
That's fine.
Compromising your virtues.
Virtues, yes.
And the strategic relationships that you need to maintain. And he's also talked about the people who are taking advantage of you for their commercial purposes. While you think they're helping you, but they're on a business venture. So there's so many things that is covered. But on this second part of the show, maybe we've told the young people, Pastor, on what they should not do.
Yes.
On the issues that they need to look out for. On the negative impacts of indulging on negative, or sorry to say, not negative per se, but the impacts of involving themselves in negative matters. But maybe we need to tell them, what are some of the activities that they can do? We've talked about what they cannot do.
Yes.
But now what can they do? Do they need to go to church? Do they need to go to the mountain at this point? Should they be fasting? Because now if you go for this bash, tutajipata na mapombe. So do we fast during these festivities? Or what are some of the things that they can do and they still remain right in spirit, and they still remain working right with God, despite all these other issues going on around them?
Great question there. Number one, we talked about company. So the first thing that every young person needs to do is to establish a network of relationships that are growth-oriented, that are able to help them grow and become the best that they can become.
And allow me to cut you short, but there's something you've said, and you know, I had written it down somewhere, growth-oriented.
Yes.
So I know it's at the face value it is just a word, but there's more to growth-oriented company.
A lot.
Than just being a few words written down.
Yes.
So maybe somebody's watching and they're wondering, are we growing in terms of age? Are we adding weight because it's Christmas, we're going to eat and we become inflamed? So what is this growth-oriented company that you're talking about?
The growth-oriented company that I'm talking about, it's important for you to look at your life wholesomely, but as you look at it wholesomely, just like you would have a house, there are different rooms in that house. And it's important for you to ask yourself, do I have relationships? Do I have people that I relate with that are able to help me grow in all these facets of my life? Do I have somebody who is able to help me grow in my social arena? Do I have somebody who is helping me grow in terms of my academics or my career if you're already out of school and doing your job and growing in that area? In your spiritual aspect, is there somebody who is helping me grow and become better? And growth, what it does is that you're moving from one level to another. That yesterday, the only job I would have applied for is an account assistant. I'm an accountant by profession. But I'm working with somebody who is helping me grow, that tomorrow, most probably because growth is not just being there. It's not like putting water on me to grow. But it's basically, what do they encourage me to do? They encourage me to see opportunities. They encourage me if I need to go back to school. They're able to encourage me to go back to school. They're able to identify strengths and things that I have that can propel me to the next level. But at the same time, they're able to also identify areas of weaknesses where we can work on and so that I become a better person. And so what I would advise young people is take the road trip. But when you take the road trip with such kind of people, what will happen, it will not just be a road trip where we have fun, we take photos on the tarmac. I see them doing some of these things. But as we take this road trip, I have somebody whom we are able to sit and talk. Yes, we have enjoyed the sceneries as we went to Naivasha, but in the evening as we sit around the fire, we are having a conversation that is able to build me up. We are asking each other, 2021 is coming. 2020 has been a challenging year. How do we need to adjust? How do we need to adapt to be able to become more productive in 2021? We are taking stock of, during this festive season, it's very good to sit and take stock. What have I been doing in 2020? And what do I need to do different in 2021? What do I need to sustain? Are there people that I need to approach and talk to that I didn't talk to in 2020, but I think if I talk to them in 2021, there is a level that I can rise.
Wow.
So that a first aspect of having growth-oriented relationships to spare the festivities with.
Wow.
Yes.
So apart from me having a growth-oriented relationships or company,
Yes.
what other thing do I need to do, like a young person or a young lady who is out here? What do they need to do so that they don't get to the negative intricacies that we talked about in the first part of the show? Because it is not just enough for me to have a growth-oriented company, because at some point,
True.
even the company might be gone and I'm still remaining there. So
Yeah.
what happens when I'm alone?
Very, very important. It is a season and a time for reflection. Reflection, which reflection is looks backward, retrospective, and then planning looks forward. That if during this time, it's very important to sit down and reflect on certain aspects. First and foremost is in terms of your identity, who you are. And what you realize is that there's some basic tenets in terms of who you are, but there are things that keeps changing and keeps shifting depending on how you're growing, depending on the movements that you're making. And you ask yourself, who am I?
Who am I? Yeah.
The second thing that you need to reflect on and think deeply about is about your purpose. And I think purpose, you have to break it down in terms of those different arenas of your life. What purpose do I want to achieve in my spiritual life? What purpose do I want to achieve in my career and my academics? What purpose do I want to achieve in my social life? And there is something that, like a concept I've been calling purpose-driven decision making.
Purpose-driven
decision making.
Yeah.
But every decision you make then must be informed by a purpose that you have already generated. That during this season, the year is coming to an end, you're reflecting back and you're planning forward. And as you reflect back and plan forward, you're asking yourself, what do I want to achieve in the next 1 year? What do I, in 2021, so purpose. The next thing, we've talked about authenticity. And authenticity goes back to identity, who you are. But it also goes forward in terms of what do you involve yourself in? What will I involve myself in the next 1 year? So take time to sit down and plan. And I always tell people, take a pen and a paper light. We have many gadgets now, scribble things.
So it's okay to write.
It's okay to write.
It's okay to write because
yes,
people,
very okay.
You know, I've met some people and they're like, Buddha, mimi niko na hiyo idea. Iko wapi? Niko nayo hapa. Iko hapa. Yeah. So what is the importance of writing this thing down? I know the Bible at some point says write these things down.
Exactly.
But what is the importance? Maybe this young person watching me right now, they're wondering, mimi niko na idea, Buddha. Mimi idea niko nayo. Nakwambia ile idea nikichomoa.
I have been there. I've been there and I thought I had an idea and I sat down to put it down and I found it was just a skeleton that could achieve nothing. So it's very important to write. Number one, writing helps you visualize, be able to see the clear picture of what you're talking about. And when I say writing, it doesn't have to be, some people didn't like composition and Isha in school. You can look for different ways. Let me tell you one of the easiest and very fun way of doing it is in your bedroom, identifying one wall and then deciding the things that you want to work towards. Then go to magazines and get photos that represent what you have. Cut out those papers. I know it sounds like a kindergarten practice. Cut out those. If next year you want to buy a motor vehicle, just cut out that photo, come and pin it on that wall. If next year you want to buy a piece of land, cut out that picture that depicts what kind of piece of land you want, come and put it on your objective wall, cut and put them there. And they give you a very clear picture of what you want to do. The second thing in terms of writing is because our lives are not one stop. But when you write all of them, you have them on one page, you don't allow one area to compromise another area. Because that's the other danger that I find, that I'm working so hard towards my academics, but as I do that, there is another area of my life that I've left behind.
That is trailing behind.
By the time I get a first class honors, I have no relationships. I have no friends that I walk with. I've not been reading my Bible. I've no prayer life. So when I write them down and I put them all here, I'm able to see that because what I'll do is that I'll put in the areas, I'll put in the purpose for each area, and I'll put the activities that will help me achieve these purposes. So what will happen is that if I put an activity in one area that compromises a purpose on another area, I'm able to see that.
You're able to see
I'm
that.
able to see that.
And you're able to deal with that conflict.
Exactly. I'm able to balance. I'm able to balance. But if the idea is just in the head, then what will happen is that I'll think I want money, and I really want money. Then I'll go after money. And then by the time I'm getting money, I'm 45, but I have no one to marry.
We are not saying that it's wrong to get married at
It's
45.
Not. It's not wrong.
What we are saying is balance your life.
Exactly.
Balance your life.
Exactly.
Balance your life.
Yeah,
So-
so it's very important for you to write them down. And we've talked about reflecting and planning forward.
Now, in fact, I was coming to that bit of planning. Now, you see, 2021 will be different from 2020.
Very different.
And so we have had plans that we have not achieved probably
Yes.
in 2020. And it is not wrong to fail to achieve.
It's not.
But somebody said, when you fail to plan,
Yeah.
you are planning to fail.
Fail.
So what are some of the things that one needs to look out for during these festivities that will help them still maintain the momentum
Yeah.
and still have that plan for 2021? Because there are people maybe watching us right now, they're like, hey,
Yeah.
manze 2021 imenikalia. I mean 2020 imenikalia, hii
Yeah.
2021 sijui
Itakuwa na
itakuwaje.
marani.
So what are some of the things that they need to take into account? Do we need to continue regretting on the failures of 2020, or do we need to carry forward the plans to 2021? Do we need to re-strategize perhaps? What are some of the things?
Great question.
Adaptability.
Adaptability is very, very core and very, very important if we have to make it in life. Simply because we don't live in an ideal world. When I was born in the late 70s, when I was born, people who were graduating from high school had jobs before they finished the exam. Before you do the exam and you get what, you already have a job.
I wish you
Somebody
could
is
go back
waiting
there.
for you. But today things have changed. Things have changed. The world is not ideal. And we make plans with a kind of an ideal world in our minds. But when we get into the space, we find things are different. What you must do, and that is something very important within planning, is you must always evaluate and adjust.
Evaluate
and adjust.
So allow me to cut you short,
Yes.
Pastor. So ladies and gentlemen, just in case you're watching us, this is Next Gen Warriors on Elevate TV, where we are advancing kingdom lifestyle. There are numbers on the screen, and these numbers are for you to reach out to us through calls, through texts. Let us know what you feel. If you have that prayer request, please let us know, and I promise you we will get back and we will get in touch with you and deal with matters that are arising. You can also follow us on our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, Elevate TV Kenya, and we will be delighted to interact with you, because this is an interactive channel where we are advancing the kingdom lifestyle. So coming back to you, Pastor.
Yes.
You've just talked about evaluating
Evaluate and adjust.
and adjusting.
Yes.
And there's the aspect of adaptability.
Adaptability. So what we are saying is, if you finished college,
Yeah.
you even maybe had promises from your uncles in high places. They always make promises. Uncles are very good. I'm an uncle. And they make promises of how...
Nitumie CV.
Tuma CV
Tuma tu
ukimaliza.
CV.
But what I've realized is that the moment you finish, na unatuma CV, that is the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
If that happens, do you sulk and feel bad and say this
Start
world
cussing
is...
them.
And just now, you should never surrender to fate. What you do is evaluate. Evaluate. How is the situation now? And what must I do to get the best out of it? 2020 came. We had started at a very high gear, even in churches, in our personal lives, and March, pap, you can't go to work. You can't
Corona.
work beyond these hours. You can't do this. If you sit there and start complaining, oh, they have closed churches, they have done what will happen is that you will become a loser. But the people who have been able to advance and can say that 2020 has been a very productive year are people who evaluated And evaluation is a continuous process because some people wait for the end to evaluate. You evaluate as you go.
You know, in project management, there's the aspect of midterm evaluation and end of project evaluation.
Yes, now
but
I
in
don't
life,
wait even for midterm. Evaluate daily. Evaluate as you go along. And as you evaluate, ask yourself, what adjustments do I need to make? I thought my uncle would give me a job, but now my uncle, the way he is behaving, I'm sure there is no job. So do I need to sit here and start complaining to my mom that your brother is so bad, he promised me a job and he can't? Do I need to sit here no, I need to now ask myself, now that my uncle can't provide me a job, then what is my next step? What other opportunities exist that I can take advantage of at this particular moment? And you will be surprised that you will be able to take advantage of so many opportunities that exist. But if you close your eyes and you just become rigid, that this is the direction I was taking, I'm moving that way, and you're not changing, what will happen at the end of the day is that you will lose it. You lose it. You'll find you've hit, or you even become obsolete before time. Because sometimes adaptability requires addition of skills.
And you see, it is very, very serious because you can hit a dead end to the point of even depression.
Exactly.
As a young person.
And we have
many young people out here who are undergoing through depression. And it is just because of simple things like my uncle promised and he has not delivered. My mom promised and she's not able. And now you're like, I've reached a dead end. But I like the aspect you're bringing in of being adaptable to different situations and scenarios. And at the same time, you've also, though you've not said it clearly, but what I'm getting from what you're saying, that there's the aspect of flexibility. You need to be very flexible to survive.
Very important. If you come out here and you have a degree in finance or accounting from the university, you have done your CPAs, maybe you're in section 4, section 5, and there is no accountancy job, but there's an opportunity to sell some uji. Let me use that example. In your neighborhood, as you scout for jobs, do you sit at home and say there is no work? Or do you make some uji and by 8 a.m. you have sold your whole mtungi of uji and made you 1,000?
Man of God. Are you saying that a whole accountant with a CPA is selling uji?
It's called adaptability. It's called adaptability. Wow. Because if you become rigid, because I've said we don't live in an ideal world. You don't get out of the university gate and, you know, like the way you leave the airport, if you're going into a foreign country and you find people with placards with your name. You don't leave the university with guys with placards with your name and they're giving you jobs. So if you come out with that mentality that because I'm an accountant, I have a degree, I'm a CPA, I can only sit in an office and rock with my chair as I give instructions, you'll have a lot of trouble. But there's something that I've realized, that when you are busy doing something, you tend to identify more opportunities.
When you're busy doing something, you identify more opportunities.
That simplistic example, it may sound simple, but it's so real. That you may find this guy is selling some porridge in a construction site, but who is the owner of the construction site? Is the chief accountant in that huge company out there. So as you sell your porridge, you are able to have an opportunity of interacting with this person, whom if you went to his office and asked the secretary to see him, and you don't have an appointment, you'll be told, leave your CV, come back another day. But you meet this guy in a construction site and get a job.
Wow.
So it's adaptability.
Wow. Hold it right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's the aspect of adaptability coming in, the aspect of flexibility. And there's so much that is going on in the world out here. It is not an ideal world. And as Pastor Bernard puts it, there are so many things that you can do. You can't be an accountant and still sell uji. You can't be maybe a CPA holder and you still go to that construction site just to supply water. So all these things requires flexibility. And we are really just saying in simple terms that even as you watch this program, as young people, all you need to do is to be adaptable to different situations, to be flexible in your life, so that at the end of the day, you don't lose focus of who you are. Remember, we talked about the purpose, the authenticity bit, and the strategic relationships that you need to keep even during this festive season. Ladies and gentlemen, there are also numbers on your screen as is always, and you can always get in touch with us and talk to us, ask us those questions that you have about this program, about this channel, and on so many other aspects and many other different programs that come on this channel. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Elevate TV Kenya on YouTube and Facebook. Now, getting back to you, Pastor Bernard, we've talked about so many things, and I believe we have like almost like 10 minutes to go. But before these 10 minutes go, the Christmas or the festivities, as it were.
Yeah.
I just want us to dwell more on the festivities and the Christmas bit of it.
Exactly.
The Christ in the Mass of the season. Maybe somebody's watching us, they're wondering, where did it begin? Do we need to slaughter chicken? What are we marking? What is the main festivity all about?
Yeah.
So maybe the young person maybe out here is watching and they're wondering, hii Christmas inakuwa tu ni kukula chapo na story medai.
Yeah.
Because I remember back in the days in the village, we were looking forward to Christmas for two things, chapati and new clothes.
And new clothes.
So
wow.
So what do you need to look forward to?
Yeah, and people still look forward to those things, even in our day and age. And there's no problem with looking forward to those things. But I think we need to get to the core of the matter. And like I said at the beginning, that Christmas is a season where we celebrate the coming of Christ. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, why did Christ have to come? Yeah. First and foremost, Christ came that we may have life and have it in abundance. That we may have life and have it in abundance. And what I would like to say to the young person is that Christ came for your salvation. So when we say you have life and have it in abundance, it is not just about the future. It's not, some people when you talk about eternity, they see it in the future. It is right now and here and into the future. So that is number one. The second thing is that Christ came that we may have hope. He came to a hopeless world that he may give us hope. And I know there are very many young people out there who do not have hope for life. They have lost meaning in what life exactly is. And I want to say that as you celebrate Christmas, know that Christ was given that you may have hope, that you may be hopeful. Hopeful for a tomorrow here on earth, a tomorrow here on earth, which is filled with the promises of God, but at the same time, hopeful for eternity, that your life doesn't end here, that you may not be having the money to have all the indulgences that young people are getting into. You may not be having the ability to enjoy like you're seeing other people enjoy, but if you have Christ, the hope in you is greater than those festivities and those things that are being done. The third thing is that Christ came, and like I said at the beginning, gave us an example of how we ought to live. And so if we are celebrating his birth, then we must ask ourselves, how did he live in terms of interacting with people? How did he live in terms of doing ministry? How did he live in terms of just leading his life? It was a life of modesty. It was a life of being compassionate to others, so that as you think about that, then this season you become compassionate. You ask yourself, what benefit does it give me if I spend all this money indulging in all these kind of things and pleasures when my neighbor is hungry? When a child outside our gate does not have food to eat, is it possible for me to be compassionate like Christ? Maybe share. Yes, and say, Mommy, Daddy, instead of buying me another pair of shoes that will take me months before I wear it because I have so many, can we buy our neighbors, our children a pair of shoes? Instead of buying me a new dress, there's this girl we go to school with and she doesn't have a new dress. Instead of spending all this money in this, can I boost my roommate at the university? He or she doesn't always have food to eat. Wow. Christ came to demonstrate compassion. And as we celebrate him, we must ask ourselves, how are we living the way he lived? Because sometimes when we are told that we are becoming Christ-like or becoming like Christ, we think of spiritual things and spiritual... we think of how we'll have heavenly bodies and fly. But it's very practical. When people are offended, it's a season to forgive. If they don't carry grudges as a young person. When they came and did bad things to Christ, he would say, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. And that is what it is about, that Christ came to demonstrate to us how we ought to live with others.
Wow.
Is there a young man who have done something wrong to you? Is there a young woman who have done something wrong to you? Is there a relative? Is there a family member whom you don't have a good relationship with? Mend those relationships, just like Christ would. Live like Christ.
Wow.
So as you wear new clothes, as you eat well, ask yourself, how well am I living like Christ lived?
You know, Pastor Bernard, I don't want to add anything to what you've said.
Thank you.
But because we've talked about so much in this show today, I want you to just have a look at this camera right here on my left.
Yes.
And I want to just give a summation of everything that we've discussed and talk to that young person, that young man, that young woman that is watching us right now during these festivities.
Yeah.
And just give them a summation of everything in just 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Young person, there's one question I would want to leave you with. That, are you ready to allow the pleasures, the things that you do in this short period, 3-4 days, to consume and swallow your whole future? Do you want to allow it to bring you to a place where your emotions are so hurt, your emotions are completely disabled, that you're not able to move forward? What I want to request you is to have Christ for yourself. For Christmas is about Christ. If you have food to eat, if you don't have, if you have new clothes to wear, if you don't have, if you have money to do a road trip, or even if you don't have, as long as you have Christ, it is enough. Thank you.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, as long as you have Christ, it is enough. That has been our time for the show today. This is Next Gen Warriors on Elevate TV, where we are advancing kingdom lifestyle. Thank you so much for watching and for keeping tabs always. Remember, you can always like our pages and follow us on social media, Elevate TV Kenya on YouTube, Elevate TV on Facebook, and you can also stream live on www.elevatetv.co.ke. See you again next week, Saturday, same channel, same time. God bless you, and thank you for watching. I'm out.